Hi everyone, welcome to another video from Crafty Terrain. My name's Lee and today we're going to be looking at how to make cheap jungle effects or forest effects for your battle board. Before we get started, I would just like to say a big thank you to everyone that subscribed in December for us. We did set a target of hitting 50 subscriptions for December and we've well exceeded that. So thank you very much for all the support. We now want to try and push on to 100 subs by the 1st of January. If we can hit that mark, we're going to plan to do a giveaway for the subscribers of the channel. Okay, so let's have a look how to make the jungle terrain. The main components we're going to be using to make the jungle scatter terrain is going to be our base, is going to be the Foamex, and we're going to be cutting that into little pieces, and then we're going to be using these aquarium fish tank plants. I bought these from eBay, nice and cheap. I think there was like £1, £2 each. I just bought a different lot of variety, so I've got different leaves and flowers. And then for the base covering, the main thing we're going to be using is some mixed herbs, and that will create the base. You can just pick them up in the supermarket, they're nice and cheap. I think that plastic pot there was 2 of bottles and that's full, and that'll be more than enough to do everything we need to do today. Okay, so you start out by cutting your small circle bases onto your Foamex. So I don't want these too large, I just want them a random shape, and we're just going to be using these as small pieces of scat terrain, and then if we're using them for Star Wars Legion, they will just be light cover. You can go a little bit bigger with some. Finish this last corner off as more of a sort of a larger piece. So 3, so that's pretty good there. We've got 8 straight from this piece of Foamex, so try and use the most of it so you don't lots of wastage. Okay, so I'm going to use my sharp knife to cut these out. So just remember, when using sharp knife, just be mindful of your fingers. Okay, so just want to try and follow your pencil lines the best you can. If you go off a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. See if that's ready to come out. And then we just pop them out. I'll get the rest of them done and then we'll come back and show you the next stage. Okay, so all them have been cut out now. So the next step is to bevel the edges so they'll get a nice blend with the board. So just go around the edge of the base with your sharp knife and try and take off the corner so you're creating an angle. So the base will then blend in to the battle board that you're playing on and won't look too out of place. Once you've created your angle and you're happy with the level of gradient that you've got, you're going to take your sandpaper and rub the edges. So you take the blade marks out. If you do have power tools and you've got a Dremel, then you can do this with a Dremel, but It's just as easy, you know, to use sandpaper if you don't have the Dremel. If you see, that's the nice smooth finish that we're looking for. I'm going to get all the rest of them done and then we'll look at sticking the trees on. Okay, so we've beveled all the edges, rubbed them down with sandpaper, so they're all looking nice and smooth now and all look pretty good. The next stage is we're going to start to mount the plants to the bases. So we'll come back and show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so the next step we want to do, we want to remove the green leaves from the bases because we're not going to be sticking this bit on, so they should just pop off like so. So you want to just get yourself as many as you want prepared, and that's where we're going to be applying them into the hot glue. And then with the longer leaves, like these for example, just take some scissors and then just cut them at the base where you're going to want them. So you'll be left with something like that. And then if in your head, just sort of imagine how you're going to want to arrange them on the bases, so you've got the right heights and different shapes of leaves, so you don't want the bushes to all look uniform, you want them to look quite natural, so put different leaves in each one with different formations. So I'm just going to prepare all my leaves and then we'll be back to glue them on. Okay, so what we're doing here is we've applied the hot glue and we're letting that to cool for a few seconds, just because this plastic from the fish tanks will melt if the glue's still red hot. So I'm just letting that cool slowly, and then you should just be able to push the bottom of the plants in and then hold it in place and wait for the glue to cool and go hard, and that will hold the plant in place. Okay. I'm just going to hold that in place now for a minute or two till I see the colour in the glue. It'll go from being transparent to a little bit cloudy. When it starts to go cloudy, you know that it's started to harden and you should be able to let go and the plant will stay in position. This one's already held, so that's fantastic, but that one's got a wider base. Here's one I've just done off camera to make sure that it was right, and that's the sort of effect there that we're going to be going for, and I'm going to build that up to it's thicker and a bit more dense. If you don't want it as dense and you want to be able to move through it with your minis, then you don't need to do it as dense, or if you want it as line of sight blocking, then build them up to the density that you'd like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bit more of them done and then we'll come back and show you how they're looking. Okay, so we've glued all them on now and that's how they're looking. I think they look pretty good so far. We're just going to let them all get like completely dry, just make sure that they're solid before we move to the next step. So we'll let them dry and then we'll come back with the basing that we're going to be putting on. Okay, so the next step that we're going to be taking is we're going to take some PVA glue and we're just going to brush that on all around the base and all around the edge, and then we're going to dip it into the mixed herbs and that'll create our ground cover. So I want to try and cover all the blobs of hot glue now where they're joined to the bottom of the base. Because I've not painted these, I want to make sure I get a thick layer of PVA so you can't see any of the white base. If you wanted to, you could paint your bases. You could paint them a dark brown or a green, whatever really the look that you want to go for to match your board, but I don't think you will see through the mixed herbs when they're all on. And then at the end I'm going to add some like clump foliage to the base as well. Just check round, make sure you've covered all the areas that you want covered. And then all you're going to do is just place into the mixed herbs and then just move them around so you get all the PVA covered. If you need to pick it up and sprinkle in, then you can. And then any that don't stick to the PVA will just shake off. Okay, so if I just bring that in close to have a look, you can see that the mixed herbs has stuck around the edges. If you've got any gaps, then touch up with glue and then just dip it back in, and that's the look that we're going for. Okay, I'm going to get all the rest done and then we'll come back and let them dry. Okay, we've based all them now and they're looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with the natural colour of the mixed herbs. If you're not and you want to change the colour, you've got some options. You can either go with a dark brown or a green to blend them more to your board. You just have to really water down some paint. Add some flow aid, like what you'd put in a dishwasher, the rinse aid to that, and then you could just hit it with a wash to sort of just change the colour a little bit, but just make sure it is very thin because you want some of the natural tones of the mixed herbs to come through. Or you can just leave them like that, which we're going to do. I'm going to let them dry now, and then we're just going to add a few finishing touches of clump foliage to the bases just to finish them off and give them that little bit of extra. Okay, so the next step we're going to do, we're going to be adding some of this clump foliage. This is like the one that's meant to look like a rose bush, so it's got some red in. That red should just add a bit more detail to the piece. What I'm going to do is just brush on some PVA. And then just place it where you want to place, okay? And then just push down, and that should hold in place, like so. I'm just going to go around, randomly apply some of these little rose bushes to the rest of them, and then that should just be them finished off, and we'll be happy with that. Okay everyone, that brings us to the end of today's video. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, then please leave us a like. If you want to see more from the guys from Crafty Terrain, then remember to subscribe. If you want to know anything about the jungle pieces, then leave us a comment below. I think they look really good. I'm very happy with how they look and I can't wait to get them onto the battlefield. Hope you've enjoyed. Have a great day.